and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, special panel investigating the Rivers rerun election says it's recovered over 100 million naira from 23 INEC officials as part of bribe allegedly offered to them. Rivers State government condemns the police panel report, describing it as politically motivated. Federal High Court orders temporary forfeiture of 5 million naira belonging to Lagos lawyer Michael Zekome for allegedly being proceeds of crime. And Israel's parliament passes a controversial law legalizing almost 4,000 settler homes in Palestinian land in the occupied West Bank.
On Business News tonight, FMDQ OTC Securities Exchange signs partnership with S&P Dow Jones Indices to promote development of Nigeria's financial market.
On Sports News tonight, FIFA slams Chris Giwa and 4 others with a 5-year worldwide ban.
I am Maupe Ogun, and from Abuja, Senate President Bukola Saraki criticizes the privatization of the country's power sector, describes the exercise as shoddy.
We begin tonight with what appears to be a new chapter in the last year's legislative rerun elections in Rivers State. The special panel constituted by the Inspector General of Police to investigate the electoral and other offences during the December the 10th polls has announced the recovery of 111 million naira from 23 officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The recovered cash was displayed at a news conference where the panel submitted its report to the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Ibrahim Idris, who has vowed to end the culture of violence perpetrated by politicians.
This is not a banking hall, but the headquarters of the Nigeria Police, with a display of cash allegedly recovered from 23 electoral officers who participated in the December 10, 2016 parliamentary elections held in Rivers State. The chairman of the Special Investigative Panel of the police that investigated the conduct of the elections announced the discoveries made by the panel.
There were, however, some cases of misconduct on the part of electoral officers and law enforcement agents who unfortunately allowed themselves to be compromised in their line of duties and deserve to be disciplined appropriately. Consequently, the sum total of 111,300,000 was recovered by the panel from electoral officers, 23 of them, out of which of 360 million was given by the Rivers State government to them. 15 million was given to each of the electoral officers and 5 million added to them by the government of Rivers to the EOs who were in charge.
Shortly after receiving the report of the panel, the Inspector General of Police vows to end electoral violence in the country.
The finding of this your panel, I believe that we are going to see an end to this kind of misconduct by all the various individuals that are involved or indicted in this investigation.
Reacting to the report of the panel, the Director of Voter Education and Publicity of the Independent National Electoral Commission pledges to cooperate with the police authorities in prosecuting indicted officials.
If at the end of the day they found some staff culpable, we'll look at that report, see whether they have breached any administrative rules, and if they have, we'll deal with that administratively.
With the display of the physical cash, which will be presented as evidence in court, the Inspector General of Police warns politicians not to see elections as a war.
Meanwhile, the Rivers State government has condemned the statement of the Inspector General of Police panel on the Rivers rerun polls, accusing it of spending 360 million naira to influence the exercise in the favour of the PDP. In a statement, the Rivers State government describes the allegation as false and politically motivated. It adds, quote, "This statement, credited to the Police High Command, is aimed at diverting attention from its loss of credibility," end of quote. While denying the claim of spending 360 million naira to rig the election, The governor insists that the police panel's allegation reveals a script which it says is being acted out by the police high command, calling it an arm of the ruling All Progressives Congress. To some legal matters now, where a federal high court sitting in Lagos has ordered the temporary forfeiture of 75 million naira discovered in the bank account of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mike Ozekome, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Justice Abdulaziz Anka gave the order for the money lodged with GT Bank to be frozen for 120 days after listening to a motion ex parte filed by the EFCC. The anti-graft agency, in an application filed by its counsel, Rotimi Oyedepo, claimed that the money was suspected to be the proceeds of crime. The EFCC confirmed to our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shoyele, that the commission filed an ex parte application after it discovered that the 75 million naira was transferred into Mr. Ozekome's account by the governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose. But Mr. Ozekome told Channels Television that the money was part payment of his professional fees for matters which he's handling for the governor. And the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is set to arraign a senior advocate of Nigeria, Dele Belgore, at the Federal High Court in Lagos tomorrow. Mr. Belgore, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, who vied for the party's governorship ticket in the last Kwara State election, is to be arraigned on a 5-count charge alongside the immediate past Minister of National Planning, Professor Abubakar Sulaiman. In the charge sheet, the two defendants are said to have conspired on March the 27th, 2015, to directly take possession of the sum of 450 million naira, being part of the proceeds of an unlawful act. They are also charged with being in possession of the sum and making a cash payment of 50 million naira to one Sheriff Shagaya without going through a financial institution. Now, the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Mr. Ekbo Nta, has identified corruption as a factor that can truncate the success of excellent economic policies. He made the remark at a forum in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, where he also called for a unified approach to the fight against corruption.
Multiple element that can truncate the success or maximization of all these laudable desires, blueprints and strategies of achieving an egalitarian society, like you have all agreed on, is corruption. We know it is there. We know that there are agencies set up to address it, but your perception as to how corruption should be described or eradicated is varied. Can external agencies like ICPC, EFCC, Code of Conduct Bureau, and the rest alone eradicate it? However, we all agree that it is injurious to our collective good, but seem powerless to address it logically.
The Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Ibe Kachiku, has clarified that the petroleum product pricing template used to determine the pump price of petrol in the country is not padded. The minister explained this when he appeared before the ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives, which is looking at the pricing template for the pump price of petrol in the country. The minister also spoke about steps being taken by the government to ensure that local refining of petroleum products takes off soon. Our correspondent Larry Lassisi reports.
NPMC. It's the continuation of the public hearing on the review of the pump price of petrol in the country by the House of Representatives. Appearing before the ad hoc committee is the Minister of State for Petroleum, a Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and officials of other departments and agencies in the petroleum sector. The lawmakers expressed some of their concerns.
It is believed by many Nigerians that the PPPRA template is currently padded.
There are cost elements that are absolutely unnecessary at this time, and we can do away with those unnecessary charges and reduce the price.
I'm saying that there isn't padding here. 71% of the cost is for the product and freight. Where the problem is on your foreign exchange rate of conversion. There are two key elements in the template. One is how much do you buy it, and how much is the foreign exchange conversion.
The minister also speaks on the issue of petroleum subsidy.
What we need to do today, because of the movement on the foreign exchange application, is to begin to say, some of the points that he raised, can we be more efficient in templating to be able to cover the gap that we see emerging? 2, is there something that we can do in interim on the foreign exchange conversion aspect to keep the prices from, quite frankly, jumping above the 145 where they are? And we're working on those.
The lawmakers then sought to understand what is being done to make sure local refineries start producing.
I've publicly consistently said that the target for this government or the president or His Excellency is that by 2018 December, NNPC must be able to deliver on some of the tasks I've given them, one of which is that we must be able to reduce petroleum importation by about 60%. We expect that at least 1 or 3 of those should have come to high capacity. But by 2019, we should be able to exit complete importation of petroleum products in this country.
It is expected that the committee will soon submit its report to the House on the possibility of a downward review in the pump price of petrol in the country. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
And while that template is being worked on, Nigerians in some parts of the country have been groaning under the current fuel price hike across cities in defiance of the regulated pump price of 145 naira per litre. In most cases, it took the intervention of the Department of Petroleum Resources to seal some stations to make the operators comply.
It's no longer news that the pump price of fuel rose from 97 naira per litre to 145 naira. Just as Nigerians were adjusting to this increment, here in Imo State, southeast of Nigeria, some retailers suddenly pushed up the price again to 150 naira per litre.
We want the public to know that it's not our making. If there's anywhere we can buy and sell at 140, even those who are selling at 145, as I'm speaking to you, are selling at a loss. We are not making anything.
This doesn't seem to augur well with the consumers. The situation is not different in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, and consumers are asking for respite.
Earlier on, there was this speculation that fuel price is going to increase, and now this queue, is sending wrong signals that, okay, something is amiss.
When the officials of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, paid a visit to some filling stations, the regulators didn't spare the rod. In Borno State, the offences of the sealed stations include overpricing, under-delivery and lack of adequate security apparatus. In all, about 19 filling stations were sealed off in Maiduguri, the state capital.
We are here doing this exercise because we want to get to the root of why a lot of stations are not selling in Kaduna Metropolis. We want to get to the root of that. We want to know why they are not selling, what is the cause, what efforts are the stations themselves doing, you understand, to get the situation improved.
Long queues are now visible in the few stations where the product is available, as residents continue to hope that the authorities would come to their aid.